The station was calm for exactly 3 seconds before everything changed. It was one of the largest space stations ever built, floating like a silver city in the dark. Thousands of beings from different worlds lived and worked there every day. Long halls echoed with many languages, and bright lights made the metal walls shine. Merchants sold strange food, engineers checked power cores, and diplomats argued politely. For most of them, this station was safe. It was protected by shields, weapons, and strict rules. Nothing dangerous ever happened here, or so they believed. Without warning, a deep alarm screamed through every level. Red lights replaced the soft white glow. Metal doors slammed shut with heavy force. The sound rolled through the station like thunder. A cold mechanical voice spoke from hidden speakers. Emergency lockdown initiated. All personnel seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Panic exploded instantly. Aliens froze, dropped their tools, and stared at each other in fear. Some screamed, some ran, and others simply stood still. They all knew one thing. The station only used full lockdown for one reason. Something unstoppable was loose. Security drones rushed through the halls, but even they seemed unsure. Energy barriers activated too late. A warning flashed on every screen. Threat level Omega. Whispers spread faster than the alarms. It has escaped, one alien said, shaking. The feared one, another replied, barely breathing. No one needed more details. Every species in the galaxy knew the legend. There was a creature so dangerous that even mentioning its name caused fear. It had destroyed research ships, broken prison moons, and survived weapons meant to kill gods. Many believed it could not be controlled. Many believed it could not be killed. Now it was here. Crowds rushed toward shelter zones, pushing and falling. Security teams formed lines, but their hands trembled on their weapons. Some officers quietly activated personal escape beacons. No one wanted to be here when the beast appeared. In the middle of the chaos, a single human walked calmly down a side corridor. He wore a simple station uniform, no armor, no heavy weapons. His steps were slow and steady. His face showed no fear. Aliens noticed him and shouted warnings. "Human, run," one screamed. "Lockdown means death," another cried. But the human did not change direction. He stopped briefly at a window and looked out into space. Beyond the glass, stars burned quietly. The galaxy did not care about fear or panic. It simply existed. The human turned away and continued walking. His destination was clear, even if no one else understood it. High above, in the control chamber, the alien council argued loudly. "Why is a human here?" one demanded. "Earth's prototype should never have been allowed on this station," another said. They watched the security feeds in horror. The cameras showed the human moving toward the restricted sector, toward the containment zone, toward the place everyone else avoided. "That area is sealed," an officer said. "Not sealed enough," another replied. The feeds shook as something massive moved behind reinforced walls. A low sound rolled through the station. Not a roar, but a warning. The kind of sound that meant something ancient was awake. Aliens across the station went silent. They held their breath and waited for the end. The human reached the final corridor. Emergency lights painted his shadow long and thin. Behind the sealed door ahead, the most feared creature in space waited. And while the station panicked in lockdown, the human calmly stepped forward. The corridor outside the containment sector was empty and silent. Only red emergency lights blinked slowly along the walls. The human stood still for a moment, listening to the distant sounds of panic behind him. Far away, aliens hid inside sealed rooms. Some prayed to their old gods. Others whispered goodbye messages into broken communicators. Fear ruled every level of the station. Inside the control chamber, the council continued to argue. Their long faces showed deep terror. One elder struck the table with shaking claws. "This should not be possible," he said. "That creature was never meant to leave its prison." The screens showed old records pulled from forbidden archives. Dark images filled the room. Ships torn apart. Moons cracked open. Entire crews erased in seconds. The beast was not born on one world. It came from deep space. From a place where stars died young. Scientists once tried to study it. Soldiers tried to kill it. Both failed. The files explained everything in simple cold lines. The creature learned fast. It did not fear pain. It did not fear death. Weapons only made it angry. Many species tried to destroy it. All of them lost something important. A fleet. A planet. Hope. Because of this, the galaxy made one rule. If the beast was detected, you ran. You hid. You never tried to control it. The council stared at the live feed again. The human was still moving forward. Step by step. Calm and steady. What is he doing? One council member whispered. He has no combat armor, another said. No shield, no weapon. Security officers begged through the speakers. Human, turn back. That sector is death. We cannot protect you. The human paused and looked up at a camera. His eyes were focused, not afraid. He spoke softly. You already tried force, he said. It did not work. The transmission cut. Silence filled the control chamber. Behind the containment walls, something moved again. The floor vibrated slightly. Metal supports groaned under heavy pressure. Warning symbols flashed across every screen. Threat levels spiked higher. Emergency systems struggled to hold. Power drained as barriers weakened. Aliens watching the feeds felt their fear grow. Some turned away, unable to watch. Others stared, frozen by disbelief. How can a human be so calm? One officer asked quietly. Earth is weak, another replied. They have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. The council leader spoke slowly. Humans survive because they adapt. They do not always fight. They observe. The camera showed the human reaching the inner chamber door. This was the final barrier. Beyond it waited the nightmare of the galaxy. He placed his hand on the control panel. The door was damaged, barely holding. Cracks glowed with unstable energy. A deep breathing sound came from the other side. Slow, powerful, patient. Aliens felt it even through the screens. This was not a wild beast. This was a thinking one. The human closed his eyes for a second, then opened them again. His hand did not shake. Behind him, the station trembled. Ahead of him, legend waited. And across the galaxy's most secure station, every being realized something terrifying. The human was about to face what no one else ever dared to. The inner chamber door shook again. Metal bent inward as something heavy pressed against it. Warning lights turned from red to deep violet. The system was failing. Security officers shouted through broken channels. Fall back. Evacuate now. No one can survive this. But there was no one left to hear them. The corridor was empty except for the human. He stood less than 10 steps from the door. Calm, silent, breathing slowly. Inside the control chamber, fear turned into anger. This is madness, one council member shouted. He will die and take the station with him. Another slammed a claw on the console. End it. Vent the sector into space. The chief engineer shook his head. If we vent now, the creature escapes into the void. If we fail, it returns stronger. There was no good choice left. The council fell silent. They watched the feed as history moved forward. A loud crack echoed through the station. The chamber door split down the center. Energy sparks burst like broken stars. The lock system screamed and shut down. The door began to open. Behind it, darkness moved. Not fast. Not wild. Controlled. A massive shape pushed through the gap. Thick limbs covered in dark plates. Eyes like burning embers slowly opening. The most feared creature in space was free. Several security drones fired instantly. Bright beams hit the beast's armor. The shots did nothing. The creature did not even react. Aliens watching the feed screamed. Some collapsed. Others covered their eyes. They had seen this before. This was always how it began. The human raised one hand. Not in attack. Not in defense. But in a calm, open gesture. "Stop," security shouted. "You will die." The human ignored them. He slowly removed his helmet, exposing his face to the open air, to the creature, to death. Gasps filled the control chamber. "He is unprotected," someone whispered. "This is suicide." The beast stepped forward. Each movement shook the floor. Its head lowered slightly. Its eyes locked onto the human. Time seemed to slow. The station held its breath. The creature lifted one massive limb, claws long enough to tear ships apart. This was the moment everyone feared. The strike. The end. Instead, the human did something impossible. He took one step forward, closing the distance. "No," the council leader whispered. Unable to look away, the human spoke. His voice was quiet, steady. "I know you are afraid," he said. "I know you were hunted." The beast froze. Not attacking. Not retreating. Sensors showed something strange. Its heart rate slowed. Its aggression level paused. Aliens stared at the data in confusion. "That is not possible," an analyst said. "It should be enraged." The human extended his hand. Slowly, carefully, every movement gentle. He did not touch the creature yet. He waited. The beast leaned closer. Hot breath rolled over the human, powerful enough to crush him. Yet it hesitated. This moment was worse than battle. This was uncertainty. One wrong move would end everything. The station. The human. The fragile hope forming in silence. The creature lowered its head. Just slightly. Across the station, fear changed into shock. Because for the first time in recorded history, the most feared creature in space did not attack. It listened. And the human's hand moved closer. The human's hand stopped just short of the creature's head. He waited, breathing slow and steady. The corridor was silent except for the deep sound of the beast's breath. The creature's eyes burned like dying stars. They studied the human. Not as prey. Not as an enemy. But as something unknown. Security systems screamed warnings. Threat indicators flashed and glitched. The data made no sense anymore. Inside the control chamber, no one spoke. Dozens of alien leaders stared at the screens. Their minds refused to accept what they were seeing. The beast shifted its weight. The floor groaned under its size. One wrong move could still end everything. Slowly, the human spoke again. His voice was calm, low and clear. "I am not here to hurt you. I am here to listen." The creature tilted its head. A small movement, but enough to shock everyone watching. The human took another careful step forward, now close enough to feel the heat of the beast's body. He raised his hand higher. Every muscle relaxed. Aliens held their breath. This was the moment legends ended, or began. The human gently placed his hand on the creature's head. Not striking. Not gripping. Just resting his palm against its armored skin. Nothing happened. For one long second. The universe waited. Then the beast made a low sound. Not a roar. Not a scream. But something soft. Almost like relief. Sensors reacted instantly. Aggression levels dropped. Energy spikes faded. Threat status shifted downward. "That is impossible," a scientist whispered. "The creature is calming." The beast slowly lowered itself. Massive limbs bending. Its body relaxing for the first time in centuries. The human smiled slightly. Not in victory, but in understanding. He moved his hand gently. Slow, careful strokes. Like calming a frightened animal. The creature closed its eyes. Its breathing deep and even. The terrifying presence that once filled the station began to fade. Across the station, alarms softened. Red lights dimmed. Emergency systems stabilized. In hiding places, aliens slowly looked up. They listened. They waited. They did not hear screams. In the control chamber, the council leader stood slowly. His voice shook. "We built walls," he said. "We built weapons." But the human brought something else. The screens showed the impossible sight. A human standing beside the galaxy's greatest nightmare. One hand resting calmly on its head. Security officers lowered their weapons. Some in disbelief. Some in quiet awe. The beast shifted closer to the human. Like a child seeking safety. Its massive frame no longer felt threatening. Fear broke in that moment. Not because the creature was weak, but because it was understood. And for the first time since the lockdown began, hope moved through the station. The alarms finally stopped. Silence returned to the station. Slow and careful, like a wounded thing learning to breathe again. Emergency lights faded back to white. Doors unlocked one by one. The lockdown was over. Aliens stepped out of hiding. Their eyes wide. Their bodies tense. None of them could believe what they saw on the screens. The most feared creature in the galaxy sat peacefully on the floor. Its massive body relaxed. Its eyes half closed. And beside it stood a single human, calm and unarmed. Security officers approached slowly. Weapons lowered. Unsure of what to do. The creature did not react. Inside the control chamber, the council stood in silence. No anger remained. Only shock and deep confusion. "The human," the council leader said quietly. "Explain." The human looked up at the camera. His voice was steady. "We never called it a weapon," he said. "We called it a prototype." The council listened. Confused but attentive. "On Earth," the human continued, "we learned long ago that fear creates monsters. So we study behavior. We study pain. We study trust." The data screens changed, showing human research files. Not weapons. Not battle plans. But calm environments. Gentle contact. Long observation. The creature was never evil, the human said. It was hunted. It was hurt. And it learned to fight to survive. The beast shifted slightly, moving closer to the human. Its massive head lowering beside him. Aliens felt something new. Shame. The council leader spoke again. "Our galaxy rules through fear. We lock away what we do not understand." The human nodded. "You don't need to be afraid of everything," he said. Slowly, the truth settled over the station. Humans were not weak. They were not reckless. They were patient. The creature let out a soft sound. Content. At peace. Medical teams arrived. Not with restraints, but with care tools. Scientists watched in silence. Their understanding of power changing forever. The council recorded the final report. The incident would be remembered. Not as a failure of security, but as a lesson. In a galaxy ruled by fear, humans chose calm. And that choice changed everything.